To become a WWE superstar, one must be exceptionally tough, enduring countless bumps, extensive travel, and navigating the backstage political intricacies. This line of work is physically and mentally demanding, requiring both a strong body and a resilient mind. In a world dominated by testosterone and fueled by egos, some men stand out as tougher than the rest. The WWE locker room has seen its fair share of tough individuals, although some prove to be more myth than reality. For instance, JBL was once considered a feared brawler until both Bart Gunn and Joey Styles, the announcer, exposed his vulnerabilities and bested him. There's a stark contrast between someone who can sucker punch a drunk person in a bar fight and someone who can attain a world championship at the highest level of combat sports. So let's dive right into it and find out who the real tough guys are. Number 10. Scott Steiner. Stories of Scott Steiner's bad behavior are numerous and legendary. A loose cannon with a short fuse, the self-proclaimed Big Bad Booty Daddy, has struck fear into wrestlers across WCW, Japan, WWE, TNA, and beyond. Alongside his brother Rick, another tough competitor, they were both standout amateur wrestlers in high school and college. Scott even ranked 6th in the nation during his senior year. Big Papa Pump was always a bit eccentric, often roughing up enhancement talent and causing backstage chaos earlier in his career. However, Scott truly embraced his wild side as his fame soared in the late 90s. In a relatively short time, the genetic freak clashed with J.J. Dillon, Ric Flair, a Georgia State transportation worker, and most famously, Diamond Dallas Page. He famously battered DDP during an episode of WCW television, attempting to remove his eye after an incident involving DDP's wife, Kimberly. Steiner hasn't exactly mellowed in the years since and was even banned from attending WWE's 2015 Hall of Fame ceremony due to concerns that he might harm longtime rival Hulk Hogan. Demonstrating his toughness in another way, Steiner has twice overcome life-threatening injuries. I'd say he has a 141 2/3% chance of winning any actual fight, even as he approaches his 60s. Number 9. Steve Blackman. Nicknamed the Lethal Weapon for good reason. Steve Blackman may never have risen above mid-card status in WWE, but if wrestling were a shoot, he might still be WWE champion today. During the Attitude Era, he was a staple of the wrestling world, but now he works as a bail bondsman and MMA trainer. He was a feared presence during his time with the company, often clashing with some of the locker room's biggest stars. One notable incident involved a confrontation with a drunken and belligerent JBL at an airport. Blackman nearly took him down, forcing the loudmouthed acolyte to apologize in front of the locker room before finishing him off. Blackman also showcased his prowess by effortlessly taking down the Big Show and contorting the 500-pound giant like a pretzel, only releasing him at his discretion. Fellow WWE tough guy Bob Holly has repeatedly stated that Blackman was genuinely the most dangerous person he ever faced in the ring. Even UFC Hall of Famer Ken Shamrock believes Blackman could have succeeded in the octagon if he had pursued an alternate career path. It's important to note that Blackman has come back from life-threatening malaria, a broken neck, and even the infamous head cheese gimmick. A testament to his unwavering resilience. Number 8. Jack Swagger. Now plying his trade as Jake Hager in AEW. Swagger was recruited to the University of Oklahoma as a two-sport athlete in wrestling and football, excelling in both disciplines. WWE brought him into the fold, thanks to none other than Jim Ross. Swagger joined the organization as a collegiate All-American with a university record for the most pins in his weight class, an impressive resume to kickstart his professional career. Swagger made a name for himself in WWE, capturing the ECW and World Heavyweight titles. However, by the end of his WWE tenure, he yearned for a change to pursue real fighting. A few months after requesting and being granted his release, Swagger signed with Bellator MMA. As of this recording, he boasts 3 wins and 1 no contest to his name. Notably, the no contest resulted from unintentional shots to his opponent's groin, something reminiscent of the Ric Flair school of MMA. In his MMA journey so far, Swagger has showcased not just his prowess in amateur wrestling but also his proficiency in submissions and strikes. It's worth noting that this isn't some minor local indie cage fighting group but Bellator, one of the world's most renowned organizations. Swagger's potential in the mixed martial arts world remains uncertain, but early signs are promising. Regardless of wins or losses, by stepping into the cage, he has solidified his reputation in the world of sports entertainment. Number 7. Steve Dr. Death Williams. Although his tough guy reputation and WWE career took a hit due to the disastrous Brawl for All tournament, it's essential to remember why Steve Williams was once considered the favorite to win it all. Williams entered the tournament with a fearsome reputation forged through his wrestling and football exploits. A four-time All-American and a starter for the Oklahoma Sooners, he had earned his place among the elite. Much of his career unfolded in Japan, where he engaged in countless brutal and hard-hitting classics in the land of the rising sun. American wrestling fans knew Williams from his time in WCW, where his genuine toughness and impactful brawling style made him a prime candidate for a program with top stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Unfortunately, a loss in the Brawl for All sidelined that potential showdown. Never one to back down from a fight, Williams, in his prime, took on all challenges, whether they were civilians, fans, or fellow wrestlers. He could dish it out and take it in return, as demonstrated when he received 108 stitches to close an eye wound, only to return to work the very next day. Dr. Death remained a double tough force right to the end. He valiantly battled throat cancer 4 years before his passing on December 29, 2009. Number 6. Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley stands as a WWE tough guy who didn't need to prove his mettle by targeting smaller colleagues or settling bar brawls after hours. No. Lashley showcased his tenacity in college, then in the army, and ultimately in the world of MMA. A decorated amateur wrestler, Big Bob once had his sights set on the 2004 USA Olympic team before an injury dashed that dream. It was during his Olympic training that Kurt Angle paid him a visit, eventually paving the way for his WWE developmental deal. After his WWE stint, Lashley returned to the realm of real sports, embarking on an MMA journey that yielded an impressive 15 wins and only 2 losses in organizations like Strikeforce and Bellator. It's worth noting that one of those losses was due to referee stoppage, as Lashley was battling mono, which left him severely dehydrated and unable to train for months. Throughout his brief but memorable MMA career, Lashley secured victories via decision, submission, and TKO. Few could find an answer to a man who boasted nearly 260 pounds of pure granite. Number 5. Haku. When you think about it, you might wonder if there are any other WWE stars tougher than a man with Haku's reputation. Reputation is the key word here because while universally recognized as a terrifying and legendary badass, most of Haku's tales of ferocity unfolded in bars during the 80s and 90s. These stories have been recounted by wrestlers who may have been, let's say, a little inebriated when they occurred. Nonetheless, there are too many stories out there for all of them to be untrue. Whether he was fending off 8 or 80 police officers, giving someone a black eye, or allegedly ripping out an eye and eating it, Haku's name is the one that wrestlers often mention when asked about the toughest in the business. In an era before social media, wrestlers could get away with rolling into town, tossing a drunk guy through a wall or two, and leaving before the authorities caught on. This seems to be a recurring theme with Haku, who was far from gentle in the ring and yet a sweetheart to be around when he wasn't choking someone out or biting off a nose. Haku is a man whose toughness borders on the mythical, but his lack of real-world combat sports experience prevents him from ranking even higher. However, if you ever happen to run into him, please convey that he actually claimed the top spot on this list, and I am genuinely sorry about the typo of number 5. Number 4. Dan Severn. While he may resemble an uncle from an old sitcom, remember that looks can be deceiving, and Dan Severn could probably take you down and put you in 50 different holes in the time it takes you to stop laughing at that cheesy opening joke. A pioneer of modern MMA, Dan Severn is one of the very few individuals in history to have amassed over 100 professional fights, with 101 wins out of 127. Even in his 60s, the Beast hasn't ruled out a return to the cage and has consistently pushed for another match against his perennial rival, Ken Shamrock. When you're a tough-as-nails competitor, it seems like you're tough for life. As a UFC Hall of Famer, Severn played a pivotal role in putting the organization on the map during the 90s when fighters would often compete in multiple bouts in a single night. His achievements in the octagon opened doors to both the NWA and WWE. Despite his no-nonsense demeanor during the Wild Attitude era, Severn didn't quite get over with the fans, but he definitely earned respect backstage. Many of his peers were genuinely afraid that he might take them down in the ring, so they referred to him as Mr. Severn to avoid any unwanted pummeling. Number 3. Ken Shamrock. the world's most dangerous man wasn't just a catchy moniker, it was a well-deserved title for Ken Shamrock, arguably the best mixed martial artist on the planet. Hailing from a tough background and a broken family, Shamrock faced hardships that most of us can't even fathom. He ran away from home, slept in cars, and even survived a stabbing by the age of 15 when our biggest worries typically revolve around GCSE results. Shamrock's early career in Japan encompassed both pro wrestling and MMA matches, building a reputation that caught the eye of the emerging UFC. It was there that Shamrock solidified his legacy, participating in numerous eras and becoming the inaugural UFC Superfight champion. In WWE, Shamrock also had a significant career, winning the Intercontinental title and becoming the King of the Ring. However, the allure of returning to real fighting was too strong, prompting him to leave the company at the height of its success. Despite accumulating more losses than wins in his later MMA career, a consequence of fighting well past his prime as age and injuries took their toll, Shamrock continued to demonstrate his unwavering tenacity. The UFC Hall of Famer deserves more recognition for introducing his hybrid submission and suplex-based style to a global wrestling audience. Number 2, Kurt Angle. Don't let the tiny cowboy hat or the milk truck fool you. Just because Kurt Angle was willing to play along with comedic antics on television didn't mean he couldn't wipe the floor with the entire roster without breaking a sweat. This is the man, let's not forget, who won an Olympic gold medal in freestyle wrestling. Yes, the same Olympic gold medal he achieved with, you guessed it, a broken freaking neck. Angle's amateur wrestling achievements are widely recognized, and he proudly resides in the National Amateur Wrestling Hall of Fame. When Kurt Angle entered WWE, his reputation preceded him, and nobody in the locker room fancied their chances testing him. As a result, Angle's rookie years in WWE went by without any major incidents. That's not to say there weren't moments when Angle needed to remind someone of his abilities. For instance, there was a backstage scuffle with an irate Eddie Guerrero who inexplicably attempted a double-leg takedown on the Olympic hero, only to be promptly neutralized with a simple yet painful front facelock. Additionally, Angle and Brock Lesnar engaged in an amateur-style match before a live event during Lesnar's early days in the company, and Angle came out victorious. Like the other wrestlers on this list who earned real validation through wins in genuine contests, Angle didn't feel the need to start conflicts with others unless, of course, it was part of a television segment that couldn't possibly go awry. Number 1, Brock Lesnar. You may not like his part-time schedule, you may not like that he's the highest-paid wrestler on WWE's roster, you may not like that he ended the streak, but one thing's for sure, you wouldn't dare say anything about it to his face. Because Brock Lesnar, whether you like it or not, is the most legitimately tough WWE superstar of all time. The Beast incarnate conquered amateur wrestling, winning the NCAA Division I heavyweight title. He conquered WWE, becoming the youngest WWE champion in history. He left WWE to chase his dream of playing professional football in the NFL, despite not having played since high school, and came remarkably close before being cut at the last moment. Undeterred, he plunged headfirst into the MMA world, where he swiftly became the UFC heavyweight champion in record time. Lesnar even survived landing on his head with a shooting star press gone wrong and successfully battled debilitating diverticulitis. Simply put, Brock Lesnar is incredibly tough, and nobody in WWE history has achieved what he has. He's an imposing mountain of a man, and you won't hear stories of anyone trying to cross him, because anyone foolish enough to attempt it likely wouldn't live long enough to tell the tale. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the world of tough WWE superstars. We hope you've enjoyed this countdown and found it as fascinating as we have. Now, it's your turn to get involved. We want to hear from you, the loyal fans of German Suplex. Who do you think is the toughest WWE superstar of all time? Is it one of the legends we've discussed today, or is there someone else you believe deserves the top spot? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinions matter, and we can't wait to see who you consider the ultimate tough guy in WWE history. And here's the deal, if you've enjoyed this video and want more exciting content like this, give us a thumbs up. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode of German Suplex. Share this video with your fellow wrestling enthusiasts, and let's build a vibrant community of fans who share their passion for this incredible sport. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep tuning in to German Suplex for all things wrestling. Take care.